Dear Julia, it was about noon here when our vessel, you remember I told you it was called the Chesapeake, had left the Boston harbor. The sail was going well until about 5 in the evening. Our captain had told us that the Shannon, a British ship, was headed straight towards us. It wasn't until about 45 minutes that the Shannon opened fire, but we were prepared and responded with heavy broadsides. Although Chesapeake had damaged afterwards. Then, just minutes later, the Shannon let out their heavy broadsides, which caused many casualties for our men. That did not stop us from exchanging fire with the British. Shortly after, both our vessels came together and we were greatly confused. Soon after that, 20 of the British men came aboard our vessel. My fellow gunmen and I ran below the deck after we had dropped our guns. All I could hear was the fighting and defeat of men. Our Lieutenant Budd tried to get us men below the deck to come up with him, but I decided to stay below. Finally, we decided to surrender to the British because we knew it was a battle we could not win. We lost 61 men in that battle and 85 of them were wounded. I am happy to have survived this short battle and I am sure you are too. Hopefully I will see you soon, my love. In good time. Love always, Elliot. Dear brother, as I was laying here in my home thinking about the days of war we had with the white men, I remembered our battle in 1812. I warned you not to attack the white men until the Confederation was strong and unified. You just couldn't wait. You just let your men attack with their fiery skill. You were close, but you and your men did not attack just before daybreak. I knew once your shots were fired, the white men would know that you were upon them. You had killed 37 soldiers and wounded 25 in only 2 short hours. Unfortunately, you did not realize that your men were now feeling demoralized, and they soon left you. I don't know what happened to you after that because we hadn't been in touch. Now I am back 3 months later, and you have destroyed all of my dreams. I don't know what happened to you, brother, but hope that one day you will read this and maybe think about what you did. No matter what, you are still my brother, and I will always love you. Tecumseh. April 27th, 1813. Dear Catherine, my dearest sister, as you know, I've been one of the many soldiers in the U.S. Navy. This is tough, this war. I've just began to understand the tactics behind invasions and defenses. Today we sealed our first victory in the war. This war, it's hard to imagine being in one for the first time, but I am proud to fight for my country. In case you or your newlywed is wondering, we first planned on attacking the British naval on Kingston from Lake Ontario, but Major Dearborn rerouted us to York, which was on the western shore. We stayed in our boats as the wind moved us along the shore westward. When we finally reached our target, the Indians greeted us with violence as the British enemies were circling clueless in the woods. We fought long and hard. The explosion of the town's magazine cost us much, but we succeeded and seized their port. I reckon we killed around 80 of their men, though we lost around 50. Nonetheless, we won. I'm writing to you for my first victory, Catherine. Please give everyone my love. Pray for me. Your brother, Charles Whitworth. September 10th, 1813. Journal entry number 15. Today I was proudly boarded on one of the 9 ships to attack the British on Lake Erie. Our mission was to take over the lake and secure this part of the Northwest Territory. We succeeded once again. This victory opened supplies lines for the country and once again lifted our nation's morale. A month before, Captain Perry trained us and the other men to be prepared, as he kept a close eye on the Brits. I was stationed at the Niagara the day of the battle. The captain was on the Lawrence, and when she went down, Perry secured himself on her ship. He led us to victory as he forced Barclay to surrender. Another battle, another victory for the U.S. Signed, Henry Wallace.
Dear Mama, how's life back home in Kentucky? My sincerest apologies for my inconsistent amount of letters. I haven't written for so long, finding myself tangled and implored with the ever-so-exciting victory of Lake Erie, feasibly seen as a great and inevitable opportunity to take assault on Canada. Governor Isaac Shelby joined the battlefield with the recruited Kentucky militia under decree of General William Henry, supposedly. There are about 3,000 of us Kentuckians daring to recapture Detroit, which I'm pleased to bear the good news of our success. General Proctor, however, out of his right mind, found it appropriate to lead British troops and several Indians also in the part taking 50 miles east of Detroit in attempts to take its stand against us. Harrison, fine young American, more patriotic than I, held up by his bootstraps and coat buttoned up to the very neck, concocted a strategy, taking assault directly on British lines. As they scuttled and clamored to find some kind of safe and secure haven with the whiplash of our unanticipated attack, they hastily surrendered. As expected, our forces then pressing onward to defeat the Indian allies. I'm not quite sure what to think about the death of the Shawnee chief, Tacoma, which occurred in the process, the catalyst of the obliteration of the Native American coalition, but we're told it had to be done. Although it may not be in our best interest, we're confident our empire will continue to prevail and expand. I send my best regards. Sincerely, Smith Wilson. Dear Journal, we're constantly being raided by the Upper Creek Indians, including Tacoma. Wanting to maintain their religious and customary practices, they're resisting assimilation and taking from our empire. Lower Creek Indians, however, at our alliance, captured leading raiders, were then punished by the Upper Creek Indians. I couldn't take this perceptible mockery, the shame for my peers, and I seemed forced to demand the militias organized by Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee to go against the Upper Creeks. The Lower Creeks at our side, so began the Battle of Horseshoe Bend, 1814. I seek to clear Alabama for American settlement as necessary for the expansion and dominance of our people. Cherokee, Choctaw, Lower Creeks, and Tennessee fought alongside our nation. We convoluted through forests nearing the camp of the Topeka near Tell, whose river also references Horseshoe Bend. The battle lasted approximately 5 hours, cannons against cannons. Blood, although compulsory, were as frequent as the trees, yet I was able to succeed in getting the Creeks to sign the Treaty of Fort Jackson, ceding 23 million acres to the government. Land was also given to the Cherokee Nation in gratitude for their coalition. And foremost, my victory has proven my worthiness to win election as President of the United States. Sincerely, Andrew Jackson.
September 11th, 1814. Today we headed for battle at the banks of Pittsburgh Bay. I had come to volunteer in the army, and this is my first battle. I came to this war with no experience. We were 3,000 strong, but the British were 10,000 strong. Our only hope was our 120-foot USS Saratoga, along with its partnering gun brig, the Eagle. The British's biggest naval threat was their 146-foot gunship. We waited on the banks, watching and preparing to fight with the British ground troops on the other side of the bay if our naval forces failed. We got news that the British naval general, George Prevost, got his head blown off by a cannonball in the first 15 minutes of battle. We watched as the British naval ship slowly got torn to shreds by our Saratoga. Then we suddenly noticed that the soldiers on the other end of the bay began to retreat. We began to cheer. In the end, I had no combat today, and I'm glad to say so, but America is close to winning this war. The British have now lost their Navy force and no longer control these waters. Until next time, Henry Smith. February 10th, 1815. About a month ago, the British invaded New Orleans. We all ran to battle shocked. They had just signed the Treaty of Ghent last month, which was supposed to end the war. The British just didn't seem to want to abandon their forts in Mississippi. Jackson rode back and forth through the camps every night, spreading news of the approaching troops. On the final day of battle, we ended up losing only about 7 men, whereas our enemies lost about 200. The British have lost for good. They threw their best at us and still lost. Roger Henderson.